Ellyn Cowan, I play Texas.
Brandon Griffis, I play Max and Herman.
Giovanni Bahena, I play Bobby.
Leo LaFlash, and I play Frenchie. Frenchie, like many of the Kit Kat entertainers, just trying to survive and will do what she can to make money, whether that's being company to a lonely man or doing a number at the Kit Kat Club. She does what she can. But she tries to have a good time while doing it.
Bobby came from aristocracy, and during the shifts of politics in that era, lost connection to his family and found was taken in by a traveling theater troupe, and he fell in love with performance, and so he travels throughout Europe every now and then. Kit Kat Club is his home, but every now and then he gets a wire or a telegram from somebody in France or England and says, hey, we need you to come in real quick, and that's how he meets lots of colorful people and sees the different ways that different cultures interact with themselves and the arts.
Listening to everyone else describe their characters, one of the common themes is like issues with family. Herman, I decided, is one of the few of the Kit Kats who actually had a very loving, very supportive family, but they're very, very poor. And he always felt a kind of ire that they never were willing to do some of the more shady things or push the envelope in order to have a nicer life. And so when he got into his teens, he got involved into drugs and sort of dealing. And as that became more and more part of his life, he got swept further and further into the dark portion. He actually started to reject his family, even though there was that support and love there, and move into this darker world. On the other side of things, Max is very much just sort of the manipulative club owner. He's going to do whatever he possibly can to keep things running, whether it's supporting the Nazis, going along with what's happening, throwing people out, bringing new people in, and he's going to get his in the process as well.
And Texas has a very tragic backstory. A lot of people ask, why is there a Texan in 1930s Berlin, right? On the stage at the seedy club, again, with Leo, survival. Texas's character was sex trafficked by a rich, who she thought was rich, German socialite named Franz. Brought her over, took her papers, and then kind of discarded her. And then she found the club as a means to survival. So she would do very similar to what Leo's character does, perform. So you'll see her perform, trying to outperform people, because she wants to get people to pay her more money or give her more things so that she can survive.
I've loved the musical since I was a teenager. I saw it at the Civic Center many, many moons ago. Fell in love. I also perform burlesque and produce burlesque shows. With burlesque and cabaret, there's a lot of common qualities: sex, queerness, politics, satire, and it was just a perfect fit. And it's always been a dream of mine to be a Kit Kat girl, so I 100% had to audition.
And I'll kind of pop on the same thing as Leo. I'm also a burlesque performer and have spent a decent amount of time on the stage, but I wanted to get a more sort of quasi-professional experience of, actually having a director and sound lighting guys, that kind of stuff, versus doing everything myself and trying to figure out like how to piece it all together. And it's been a very interesting experience, giving over a little bit of the creative process, but also having that more broadened perspective to reach a larger audience and sort of more things that you could do with all the resources here.
I've always loved the intersection of theater and politics. There's a Bertolt Brecht quote, art is not a mirror in which to reflect society, but a hammer in which to shape it. So Cabaret has been on the top of my list of shows to do because it just really takes a mirror, shines it right at the audience, and at the end just takes the hammer, smashes it. And I love moving audiences, and I think this is the perfect time to bring back Cabaret.
I completely agree. In that, a little bit different though. So when COVID hit, single human, living by myself, I haven't done theater since I was 18. I've danced, I'm a dancer, Latin dancer, but I felt there was something missing in my life, and I went to Facebook and the audition event popped up on my feed, and I realized what was missing was being able to express, especially something so strong as this musical is, and relevant to today's politics as well. It really was something that I needed to do, and also just the coolest thing to do, you know what I mean? Like being alone and then COVID, and it's like, what should we do? Oh my gosh, express ourselves and be free and connect with people again in a year of not being able to connect.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's been wonderful. The group here, the cast, the crew, everyone's just been amazing. It's been a very enjoyable time and a great just ability to connect with new people and form those sorts of things. There's something particular about the theater community and how everyone intersects and gets along and brings new ideas to each other and pushes you in different ways. And it's just kind of wonderful. One of my favorite moments from actually planning all of this was David sat us down and he wanted to get all of our ideas of both the characters in the time period, but also how that translated to the modern world and all the things that are going on right now, and how easily it seems that people can get swept up into things, and how dangerous that can be sometimes when you start moving in particular directions and not paying attention to what's happening or pushing back against things. And that was a very powerful and interesting experience, having the whole group sitting around in a circle just discussing that, not even really going over the musical itself or what was being said, but just how is the emotional impact of this supposed to hit? What's the overall theme?
Spoilers. I adore the goose step.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Watching the audience, you know, it's to what I said, it's that the mirror at the right angle and then the hammer just chucked right at it. Their entire world shatter, and it's beautiful.
The verbal
Adore
reaction.
it.
Yes. You have people in the crowd go, oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
So a little bit of a funny story there. My partner, I actually warned her that this was coming. I said, you know, there's this part where we come out and there's this kick line, and every night the audience starts clapping along with the music and everything. And they get all into it, and all of a sudden we hit this like hard shift to goose steps, and it really rocks everyone. And she came to the show, and she got caught up and started clapping. And after the show, she's like, "Why didn't you warn me?" I was like, "I did." It's like, "Oh my God, you did!" I completely. So it draws you in. It catches you. Even when you know it's coming, it can catch you off guard. So, and it's such a powerful moment having that, as I said, that mirror reflected at you of, you got swept up in this too, and this is how easy it is.
One of my acts is a duet with the MC, and it's a very cutesy, fun, vaudeville type of duet, which we choreographed together. And throughout the act, people are laughing and having fun, but it has a very shocking twist at the end, which is always met with silence. Mm-hmm. So that's, as Ellyn mentioned, and also Giovanni, seeing people's reactions or not hearing a reaction, lack of a reaction, is so powerful and satisfying, fulfilling, because you've done your job. Yes.
Mm-hmm. My favorite is actually the final scene of Act 1. It really highlights our individual character's role in, or our feelings toward the current political situation. And it really, as my friends came first night, had no idea what the show was about. Oh, no. And one of my friends said, it took a turn. And that, to me, so that last scene of Act 1, it took a turn. And I love the reaction of, when everyone was talking about, the crowd just going, oh no, oh no. But then also our characters go from showy to something more like, oh, they're actual survivors, and you can really see us as humans, if you will, instead of performers.
It's been a very interesting experience. I also have not done, I've done a lot of stage performance with burlesque and that sort of stuff. There's a very sort of interactive experience with the audience in that regard. But even when I was younger and did a little bit of theater, you're used to, you do a number, there's applause. You do the next number, there's applause. And in this one, there's definitely stuff like that, but there are also a lot of things where you're doing a number and people are really enjoying it, and then suddenly that twist at the end, and it stops and it ends, and there's just silence. And somehow that's almost even more powerful, the fact that you got people to come out of that pattern of applauding after a particular number and say, I'm uncomfortable, I don't know what to do with this. And it's really powerful. And most of the people I've spoken to after the show, even though they feel that discomfort, really enjoy it as well, really sort of cherish that experience of being pushed in that way.
There's a fun amount of control that we have as the performers that sometimes doesn't exist in every show. There's sometimes where the audience's energy really controls how a show goes. But in this show, we're all in control, we hold the reins, we take them along with us, we make them smile, we make them laugh, and then immediately we just stun them, just eat. And it's beautiful. I love it.
There have been a number of variations of the themes of Cabaret. There's always that, what is happening in 1930s Berlin, but this show, I think, pulls a very particular dark element to it. It, as we've said a number of times, it really holds that mirror up, and I think present day more than any other time, that's really important right now, to see how quickly these things can happen, how subtle they can be, and then become very, very harsh, stark realities, and that we all need to be very aware of what's going on. And I think theater is a great way to look into that. I think that this particular performance at the Playhouse has really brought that out.
Community theater is always important because it's your community. It's a way to connect with the people around you. And this production shows you that your community, as much as it can help you, can also harm you if you aren't paying attention. If you are complacent in what's going on, or you chalk it off to like, oh, but they're my friends. It's an actual line in the show, spoilers. So it's important to see and support your community, but it's also important to see this production because it can show you that your community can do just as much good as it can harm if you don't pay attention to what's going on around you.
Or assume someone else will change it.